Hello FlossTube friends, my name is Audrey Marine and this is a channel all about cross stitch. Today I am filming a FlossTube extra for you. This is going to be a Floss Palace tour. It's just a tour of my stitchy space, my craft room / guest room, whatever you want to call it. I do get questions every once in a while about stash organization. So while it's only been a little over a year since I filmed a tour of this same space and not much has changed, I thought it was perhaps worth it to at least some of you to record another one and talk a little more in depth about how I store my linen and threads. If you have any questions about things that I show along the way, whether it's a finished piece or something that I have in the closet here, whatever it may be, please check the description box below because I will do my absolute best to put information for you in that box, including links to products and applicable videos that are here on my channel. If you have any questions that are not answered in that description box, you are of course free to leave questions and comments here on YouTube, or you can find me on Instagram at @StitchStitchBead and send me a private message if you prefer to communicate that way. But I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around and we will get started here in the doorway and move throughout the room. Upon entering the room, we've got two samplers right here by the doorway. Both are from Hands Across the Sea samplers. The one on the bottom was included in the Letters from Europe box. I stitched this on 46 count, just the ticket from Tabby Cat with the called for 100.3. And then this one is a chart that was included with Hobby House's holiday box in 2024. All supplies were included, so I just used what was in the box. It was a 56 count Mason linen with Soie sur Fin. Moving around the corner here, you can see two more charts, again from Hands Across the Sea samplers. The larger one on the bottom is Anne Ogston. This is something that I received at Sampler Symposium a couple years ago, but it is now widely available. You can get it on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers website, as well as from many local needlework shops. I stitched this one on a 46 count fabric and used the called for 100.3s. The Rose and the Giant Pear, I stitched this one on 56 count creme brulee from Tabby Cat, and I used Soie sur Fin. Below these two samplers, you'll see a little bit of a gap in the wall. I have that earmarked for a couple small red samplers. I have one ready and framed, but I'm waiting to have another frame before I hang those up there. Moving into the closet, you see I have all of my linen hanging, with just a few exceptions, which I'll show in a moment. But most of my linen here is hanging. I have it organized first by count, and then alphabetically by dyer. So in the back, I have 40 count. You'll see that there's a tag there that says Legacy. So that section there is just Legacy. But this section here is 40 count. And then moving up, we've got 46, and you'll see some more tags, 46 Needle and Flax, 46 Tabby Cat. I created special tags for those dyers that I had a lot of fabric from. And then moving up to 56 here in the front, and then Lakeside is all on one hanger in a little section in the front. I didn't bother separating my Lakeside by count because I just don't have a ton of pieces there, and I wanted to keep it all up front and together. But easy to view at a glance what I have, easy to look through and find a particular color. Everything is ironed, hung, and tagged. Up top in a separate bin, I have larger cuts of fabric. This is an idea that I got from Lisa Curry of Mrs. Curry's Classroom here on FlossTube and on Instagram. She recommended keeping your half yards and larger pieces separate so that when the time comes that you need a very large cut of fabric for, say, a really big sampler, you know that you've got some things set aside that haven't been cut into for smaller projects. Also in that bin, I have scraps of 46 and 56, and I do mean scraps, usable pieces, but too small to be hung with the rest of my pieces. Also hanging here, I have some spare skirt hangers. These hangers have like a soft touch, and I purchased them from the Container Store. Hanging in here as well are a couple bags full of goodies. I start, every time I know that I've got something to give to a friend in the future, I start them a bag. And I've been keeping them hung up like this, so they're not out of sight, out of mind, but easily accessible, easy to find, and easy to add to until the day that I pack everything up and take it to whatever event it is that I'm going to be joining them at. In the back here, I've got a basket system from Elfa, also purchased from the Container Store, full of spools of 103 and then some other random threads up top. But I've got Swasserfine and then again 100.3s. It does look like a bit of a mess, but they're bagged for specific projects and labeled. Down below that, I have 4 art bins full of more spools of silk. That is ARTBIN. You can purchase these online. They're relatively inexpensive and wonderful for storing spools of thread. I have my spools organized by number, so very easy to pull from my stash when I'm trying to kit things up. Below that, I have another drawer system. I say another drawer system. I have 2 drawer systems. This is the first of the 2 that I will show you. And again, purchased from the Container Store, an Alpha product. This has 3 large drawers. You can have 4 as well, you see. But I have 2 shallow and 1 deep. The top shelf has become a bit of a catch-all for things that don't have a home anywhere else. You'll see extra threads, highlighters, empty spools, safety pins, and a bunch of name tags from past events. And they just kind of end up here. Don't really know where else to put them. They're good there for now. The second drawer here, this is full of mason linen. I love mason linen. I am so happy to have this many pieces in my collection. I wanted a way to store them that would allow me to keep them so nicely folded. When you get a piece of mason linen, it's often folded like this and has tissue paper in it. I love the sound and the feel, and rather than hanging those up, I wanted to be able to have them stored flat. In this larger drawer down below, I have a bunch of sewing supplies. Now, I don't use a sewing machine. I do everything by hand, and I've only done a tiny little bit of hand quilting and some English paper piecing. But should I want to get into it more, I have supplies here to do just that. I also have wool applique supplies. And then, I can pull from this if I want to send some backing fabric with smalls to finishers. Sometimes I just send pieces off to finishers and allow them to choose backing fabric and trim, but sometimes I want to pull something from my own collection. My second drawer system here is where I keep all of my charts and kits and things like that. So I have hats charts up top. You can see all of them there. I have purchased many, but I've also been given a lot as well, so I have an extensive collection. Sampler charts, small kits like Just Nan and Mill Hill, seasonal small charts, kitted things, and then that big basket on the bottom is a bunch of Christmas stuff. Up top above the linen, I have 4 bins full of charts. Now, the top 2 are full of Hands Across the Sea samplers charts that have come from red boxes. They're this smaller format. I really like that format. Sometimes it doesn't work so well with a larger chart, but ease of transport is great. You can fit them in a purse. That's wonderful. This bin here has other small charts, Plum Street, Brenda Gervais, stuff like that. And then this bin is full of Mill Hill kits. Lots of Santas yet to be stitched. And then up top, you'll see there I have a box of bobbinated DMC. That's something I did years ago when I first started getting into cross stitch beyond Mill Hill kits. I thought I was going to be a bobbinator, and I was for a while, and it worked really well. And then I decided that I really liked floss drop. So I still have that. It's great in a pinch if I need a particular color. And my son, who stitches, likes to dig through it every once in a while when he's trying to kit something up for himself. In the other side of the closet, you'll see here that I have my Roxy floss hanging beautifully in color families. I have 2 pegboards here. This is a system that I purchased from IKEA. It's easy to install and easy to customize this to your own needs. On 2 pegboards with a bunch of pegs, I'm able to store all of my Roxy floss as well as other tools and accessories. Now, these boxes up here, as well as hoops, scissors, other things, I did talk about those in my All About Needlework Tools video, so please check that out. I will link that below for you. But you can see that I have pens, pencils, some trimming needle minders, scissors. I've got a basket here that has, for some reason, become my Stacy Nash basket. It's wonderful. If I'm looking for an animal cracker, that's where I go. But just very happy with how this is all organized. Very easy to see at a glance what I have. And lately I have just been having so much fun doing conversions to Roxy floss, and this system here makes it very easy for me to do that. And it's just been wonderful. Down below that, I have a big bin. This had been sitting out near my desk, but I tucked it in the closet just to get a little more room around my feet under the desk. But this is full of project bags. Now, it looks like a lot of project bags, I think. Not all of them are whips. There are some things in there that are just kitted and yet to be started, but just love that big bin. It works well to hold project bags. Down there is my Velky Pataki stand. It's a piece that I use quite a bit. And again, if you're interested in learning more about that, I would check out my All About Needlework Tools video. Oh, just love all that Roxy floss hanging there. Looks beautiful. Moving along to the corner here, this is one of my favorite completed pieces. This is Louise Piret, another Hands Across the Sea samplers chart. I'd stitched this on 46 count old gold from XJU Design, and I used the called for 100.3s. The border was not particularly fun to stitch. I got a little tired of it after a while, but I love the effect. It's a beautiful piece, and I think my framer chose the perfect frame for it. This little piece tucked in the corner here, this is Fanny Wilson, stitched on 56 count, I believe, and this is from the Words of Wisdom box that was put out by Hands Across the Sea samplers a couple years ago. Next to those pieces, I have this big, beautiful cabinet full of stitchy goodness. This is a piece that I purchased at Midland Antique Mall a couple years ago, and it has been a wonderful addition to the Floss Palace. Start with the top shelf here. On the left in the back, that framed piece is Jessie Anderson. And we've got Elizabeth Dinsdale. That little red sampler is something that I reproduced and provided as a fundraiser for Upper Peninsula Animal Welfare Shelter. Did that a couple years ago. This is Bobbin the Mouse, an animal cracker chart by Stacy Nash. That is Susanna de Carle. That one back there, stitched on 46 count Tickety Boo, that is from the Book of Smalls that was included in the Words of Wisdom box. Marianne Groom, another Hands Across the Sea samplers chart, stitched on 56 count Yellow Mustard from XJU Design. These little velvet strawberries, as well as that velvet heart back there, these are pieces that I made from Mary Jo Heine kits. Beautiful. Not difficult to do, a little time consuming, but well worth it. This is a piece by Shakespeare's Peddler, included in the summer edition of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. I stitched it on 46 count Dark Soil. In the back, we have Hilda Viner. That's the one in the frame. That is from the Letters from Europe box. And then up there is Mary Hill. That was a piece that I completed ahead of at an event that I attended a couple years ago. I did a hem stitch on that. It was awful, but it's done. Maria Ward here. This was out of the Words of Wisdom box. I stitched that on 56 count Dirty Teacup by Needle and Flax. That's Elizabeth Poindest. That is an exclusive to Hobby House Needleworks, I believe, stitched on 56 again. Kathleen Dempsey, I don't remember if this was 56 or 46. I think it's 56. But again, Hands Across the Sea samplers from Hobby House Needleworks. This is another small out of the Smalls book from the Words of Wisdom box. I did stitch this one on 56, I believe, and it's just tiny, but I love it. This is by Cross Stitch Antiques, National Female Model School sampler. It's an Irish sampler, and I stitched this on 46 count. It's a Cedar River linen, but I am blanking on the name. I'm not sure which fabric I used, but I know it's a Cedar River, and I know it's 46, and I stitched it as my blessing sampler this year. The framed piece in the back is another hats chart. That is included in a booklet of 2. Needlework from Distant Shores, I believe, is the name of the booklet. Elizabeth Hibbert here was included in the Words of Wisdom box. And then I've got 2 little mice, Romeo and Juliet by Just Nan. Down below, we've got Sarah J. Jones in that frame back there. That is a Welsh sampler. In front of those are 2 pieces by Shepherd's Bush. I stitched them on 40 count and made a couple modifications. They're teeny tiny and I just love them. This needle book here is something that I stitched. It is ribbon embroidery. I used a kit from Mary Jo Heine, and then I used Katie Strachan's method for finishing a pin keep, and that's how I did that one. That took a while, but it was well worth it, and I love the finished product. Now this piece, as well as the rabbit in the back, this strawberry here, this strawberry pin cushion here, and this bird, those are all from Parish Farm Girl on Etsy. She does amazing ribbon embroidery and traditional embroidery as well. I just love her pieces. This pomegranate was a souvenir that I got in Greece a couple years ago. That in the back there is the Cuckoo Bird sampler. I think it's from Heart and Hand. I stitched that on a 40 count from Number 12 Stitch Co. I think it's on Wallaby. I think I used a brown thread on Wallaby, so it's like a tone on tone. The Sewing Bird here is from the Keeper of the Pins book by Brenda Gervais. And then this heart here was given to me by my friend Leslie at Sampler Symposium earlier this year, and it comes from a kit from Full Moon Wares, and I will link them as well. Up above to the middle shelf again, I've got another birdie from Parish Farm Girl. This pin here, I stitched this from Mrs. Campbell. So I just stitched the bird and added an A, and then the frame is from Art Base on Etsy. The scissor holder with the little mousey on it, as well as the scissor holder over here. Those are from Norm's Woodcraft. You can find him on Etsy. Below all that, I've got the secretary desk that, of course, folds out, and then 3 drawers. In the top drawer here, I've got all my needlepoint supplies. Now, needlepointing is something that I started just earlier this year. I've completed just one project, and I've got another one on the go, but I do have supplies for some others, and I would like to start those soon. The second drawer here holds whips, specifically any whip that uses spooled threads, and I have those particular threads in either a clear Gutermann box, you can see they come in a couple different sizes, or some sort of little bag, little pouch. I just keep those in here rather than throwing them in a project bag and getting it all lumpy and all mashed up and stuff. I keep them in here. The bottom drawer is particularly exciting. It's where all the charts I have completed go to wait until they're either given to a friend or destashed, or just maybe they just continue to live in here as a lovely reminder of all the things that I've completed. Moving from the cabinet, we go over the bed, and I've got Elizabeth Dinsdale hanging here on the wall. This is a piece that I stitched on 46 count beige gray by XG Design, and I used all the called for 100.3s, except I used Floss Palace for the over 1 letters and the little bees at the bottom. Over in the corner, I have some shaker boxes, as well as a Winterberry case. This particular Winterberry case, the color I should say, is exclusive to an event that I attended last fall in Swindon, England. You may notice another little birdie here. This is of course from Parish Farm Girl. Again, I just love her work. Can't get enough of it. This big framed piece, I should say the stitching isn't all that big, but the frame is large. This is a present to Esther Clark by the Scarlet House. When I had this frame, I requested that my framer use a molding that would allow it to sit upright on a table by itself without an easel or having to be put on the wall. Up on the wall, I have 3 red samplers. This one is Caramel Azzo Party, stitched on a 56 count Old Mushroom by XJU with Floss Palace. This one is a Stitch in Time, also by Hats, but exclusive to a Stitch in Time in Hobart, Tasmania. I used the called for color, I'm sure, I think it was 664, on Dirty Teacup. And it would have either been a 46 or a 56, I don't quite remember. This is Elizabeth Wood, stitched on 56 count, I think it was Old Sheep by XG Design. And if I remember correctly, it was the first sampler that I completed. And moving from the corner, we'll show you a bit of the bed. I love the bedding here, and in particular, I love the quilt that sits on this bed. So this quilt here is something that my son Rupert made. The fabric collection is Riley Blake's Mansfield Park. And he made the quilt top himself, and then my mother had it quilted by a professional, and then she did the binding. And here I have a little tray of red goodies. Now, normally this tray, or at least a tray, full of stuff would be on display on the dining room table, but I brought it in here to show you guys. Red tray from LaHaye's, and full of red goodness. In the back, of course, we've got a few samplers. There's Fanny Hussey is in the back on the left, Maggie Burridge, and then that one there in the middle, I actually don't remember. I'll have to put the information below. That little heart-shaped one, that's another small that was included in the Words of Wisdom box. The alphabet sampler on the right is from Keeper of the Pins by Brenda Gervais. That's something that my son Morris stitched, and my mom finished it into a pillow. There's another velvet strawberry that I made from a Mary Jo Heine kit. This one in front here is AWE. That you can get as a PDF from the Hats website. Then we've got 2 animal crackers by Stacy Nash. The chicken is Henny Penny, and the fox is Reynard. This one here with all these Smyrna crosses is MC 1899, again available as a PDF from the Hats website. The little tomato piece hiding in the middle there, that is as well from the Keeper of the Pins book by Brenda Gervais. Moving to my desk here, you can see that I have a beautiful tray full of goodies, more finishes on display. Kind of running out of room to display these things, but I just love them. I love pillow finishes. Faye Rigsby, who has finished many pillows for me, she just does an excellent job. Right in front here, this is by Shakespeare's Peddler. It's from the spring edition of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, stitched on a 40 count with my own Roxy Floss Co. conversion. This is Louise Vilvorder. I stitched it in not the called for red, but a mushroom or taupe color that I really liked, and I stitched it on a 56 count Mason. Emma and Martin Noah Hubbard, those are included in a chart together, and I used 46 count Casterbridge, which has a green tinge to it, And I used the called for colors, which are like a lilac and a lime. And I asked Faye to finish them identically. That in the back there is Honora Maxwell, another hats chart. And then the blue one there is Mrs. Salmond. It's from the Words of Wisdom box. Let's see, can we focus? There we go. I stitched that on is it a 46 or a 56 count Regency by Seraphim. I'm not sure of the count, but I know it was Regency by Seraphim. And then again, I've just tucked in some cute little spools and another velvet strawberry that I made. Also on my desk, I have another shaker tray full of tools and supplies, things that I use regularly. I've got thread winders and scissors, boo-boo stick, quarter gauge, everything I might need. Scissors, threads, current project. Here's a cookbook stand that I use to hold my chart. Currently, I'm working on Mary A. Williams by Shakespeare's Peddler. Hanging on the lamp here, you'll see a number of hoops and some thread. That's floss for particular projects on rings together. These hoops are all Hardwick Manor hoops. You can purchase them from Hoop and Frame. That's probably the #1 question I get is about my hoops. So please do check the drop-down box for more information on those or view my All About Needlework Tools video. And in the back here, I have a quilt rack. I purchased this at Midland Antique Mall. It does have a couple quilts on it in the back there, but really it's just a great way to store my works in progress that I don't want to put into a project bag, or pieces that I have finished and have ironed and don't want to get them crumpled up before they're off to the framer. And last but not least, I want to show a Liza Duff curtain. This is stitched on a 46 count Mason linen with all the called for 100.3s. This is another Hands Across the Sea samplers chart, and you can get it from Hobby House Needleworks. Well, that's it. That's the tour. So thanks so much for coming along. Again, if you have any questions or comments, you are absolutely welcome to leave them below. You can also find me on Instagram at Stitch Stitch Bead. Until next time, happy stitching.